And today when we read, we're going to pay close attention to a few key things. We're going to pay attention to prediction. We're going to be predicting what might happen next. We've been working on that all year long, and we're going to continue to work on it now. We're also going to be working on inferences. An inference is when you use clues from the book, say for instance in the pictures or in the words, and then you use your schema, which is something you already know, to make a guess of what the author might be trying to say, or what the author is trying to have you understand. And then we're also going to be looking at something that might be kind of new for most of you, which is the theme. The theme is the lesson or the moral of the story that the author wants you to learn. So let's go ahead and read Suki's Kimono. So this is the kimono here. Suki's Kimono. This is by Cherry Yugaki and Stephane Joris. And there she is. On the first day of school, Suki wanted to wear her kimono. Her sisters did not approve. "You can't wear that," said Mari. "People will think you're weird." "You can't wear that," said Yumi. "Everyone will laugh and no one will play with you." "You need something new, Suki. You need something cool." Let's stop right here and make a prediction. What might happen next? If I were to predict what might happen next, I might say, I'm thinking that Suki will change into something else to wear to school because her sisters are kind of making fun of her. Let's find out. Here she is. But Suki shook her head. She didn't care for new. She didn't care for cool. She wanted to wear her favorite thing, and her favorite thing was her kimono. Suki's Opikan had given her the kimono. The first time Suki wore it, her Opikan took her to a street festival where they slurped bowls of slippery, cold somen noodles and shared a cone of crunchy, shaved ice topped with a sweet red bean sauce. Under strings of paper lanterns, Suki joined her Opikan in a circle dance. She followed her and copied her movements, trying to be as light and as graceful. She watched the other women and children who danced, especially those who were dressed in cotton kimonos just like her. Later, Suki sat so close to the stage that when the taiko drummers performed "Bom Bom Bom Bom," she felt like she swallowed a ball of thunder and her whole insides quaked and quivered. Before they left the festival, Suki and her Opikan stopped at a souvenir stand. There were many things to choose from, but her Opikan found the prettiest thing of all, a handkerchief of pale pink linen, decorated with tiny maple leaves and cherry blossoms. When she gave it to Suki, she said, "This will help you remember our day." So here's the handkerchief. She's going to buy that for a souvenir. Let's stop right here and let's try to make an inference. Remember, boys and girls, an inference is when you use the clues from the book and your schema, what you already know, to think about what the author is trying to tell us. Let's look at the character's face and let's try to think about how Suki is feeling. How does she feel about doing some of these things? I'm thinking, based on the clues in her face, that maybe she likes to do these things with her Opikan. Maybe she's enjoying it. What do you guys think? Now it was time for school. Mother checked Suki's obi one last time and took a picture of Mari, Yumi, and Suki together by the front steps. Then as she watched, the three sisters made their way down the block to their school. Mari and Yumi stayed several paces ahead of Suki and pretended they didn't know her. That's not very nice, huh? But Suki didn't mind. She turned and waved to her mother before she clip-clopped along in her shiny red geta, feeling very pleased in her fan-patterned blue kimono. She is. Once in a while, Suki would lift her arms and let the butterfly sleeves flutter in the breeze, and made her feel like she'd grown her own set of wings. Let's take an inference right here. Remember, an inference is by using the clues in the book and your schema to think about what's happening in the story. What are the other characters thinking here? Let's look at the clues. What are they thinking? I think the other kids, if it were me, I think the other kids are kind of laughing. I'm looking at this boy, they're laughing. They're talking to each other. Maybe they're talking, or could they be talking about Suki? I'm inferring that maybe they're making fun of her because they're all laughing. It's not very nice, is it? But I don't think Suki cares. She looks pretty happy. When they reached the school, Mari and Yumi hurried across the yard to a group of their friends. Suki stopped and looked around. Some of the children turned and stared at her, and others giggled and pointed at her kimono. But Suki ignored them. She took a seat on the swing to wait for the bell. A girl dressed in overalls, just like a pair Suki had at home, sat on the swing beside her. "Hey, Suki," said the girl. "Hi, Penny," said Suki. How is the character feeling now? Look at Suki's face. Have her feelings changed? How do you know? Let's take a look again at the clues by looking at maybe her face. I'm gonna make a prediction here. What might happen next? I want you guys to go ahead and make that prediction in your head and tell someone at your house. What do you think is going to happen next in the story? I'll give you a few seconds. I'm thinking maybe they'll become friends. Suki looks a little confused, but that little girl doesn't look like she's making fun of her. She's talking to her. Maybe they'll become friends. "How come you're dressed so funny?" Penny asked. "Where did you get those shoes?" Suki lifted her feet off the sand and wiggled her toes. "I'm not dressed funny," she said. "My grandma gave me these shoes." Suki started pumping her legs. After a moment, Penny did the same, and soon they were both swinging as fast and as high as they could. Swoosh, swoosh, up and up. They do look like they're becoming friends, don't they? Penny didn't make fun of her like the other kids did. There is Suki. When the bell rang, Suki and Penny jumped off their swings and ran to the gym for the first day of assembly. Once they were finally taken to their new classroom, Suki chose a desk near the window. Penny chose a desk next to Suki. As they waited for everyone to find a seat, two boys in front of Suki turned and snickered behind their hands. Snickered means kind of like make fun of someone or talk about someone. One of the boys reached over and snatched at Suki's sleeve. "Look at this," he said. "She's a bat." It's not very nice. Once again, we have some kids that are kind of making fun of Suki. Let's see if it hasn't bothered her yet, but does she look a little bit upset here? I'm thinking maybe her feelings are changing right here. Suki felt her cheeks burn, but she did not respond. Instead, she concentrated on sitting up straight and tall, the way her obikan always did. It was easy to do with an obi wrapped snug around her middle. Her obi was a golden yellow, and in its folds Suki had tucked away her pale pink handkerchief. "Welcome to first grade," said the teacher. "My name is Miss Paggio," she smiled. "Let's introduce ourselves and tell everyone what we did this summer." I wonder what Suki's going to tell her about. What are you thinking? Go ahead and make a prediction and tell someone at your house. What do you think Suki's going to talk about how her summer went? What is she going to describe? Are you thinking what I'm thinking? I'm thinking she's going to tell her about when she went to the festival with her obikan and she bought all those things she's wearing. And maybe she'll even show her handkerchief. When it was her turn to speak, Suki stood up and told the teacher her name. "Hello, Suki, Miss Paggio," said Mrs. Paggio. "What did you do this summer?" My grandma visited us, she said, straightening her sleeves. She brought me my kimono and my geta. Suki raised her foot to show the teacher her wooden clogs. Somewhere in the classroom, someone laughed, but Suki took a deep breath and continued. The best thing was that she took me to a festival, and there was dancing. Dancing girls dressed like me, and they danced like this. She took a few steps and swayed her arms sideways. Suki kind of seems like a character who just not embarrassed to be herself, is she? She's dancing in front of her whole entire class. Look now, she's dancing, someone said, but Suki didn't hear. She hummed the music she remembered hearing at the festival. She remembered how it felt to dance barefoot in the open air, on fresh-cut grass that tickled her toes. She tried to picture the other dancers, how they moved forward in the circle with the rhythm of the music, how they stamped their feet, first right, then left, swung their arms, first up, then down, how they stepped back and back and back, then clapped. When Suki couldn't remember the next step, she made it up. Just keep dancing. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, stop. When she was finished, the room seemed very quiet. Everyone was watching her. Suki sat down, wondering if she was in trouble. Let's go ahead and make an inference right here. Let's use the clues on the page to guess how the characters are feeling and what they might be feeling. I feel like Suki's face is changing. It doesn't look as happy as it did before. Her cheeks are a little red, and I know that with my schema, I know that when your cheeks are red, sometimes you feel a little embarrassed. So I'm making an inference. I'm inferring that maybe Suki at this point in the story is feeling a little embarrassed about dancing and performing in front of her class. What do you guys think? Oh. But Mrs. Paggio said, "That was wonderful, Suki," and she started to clap. Then so did Penny, and after a moment, so did the entire class. And look at that. It looks like Suki's back to being her happy little self again. After school, as the three sisters walked home together, Mara and Yumi grumbled about their first day. "No one even noticed my new sweater," said Mari. "No one even noticed my cool shoes," said Yumi. But Suki just smiled. As she click-clocked along behind them, Suki pulled out the pale pink handkerchief from her obi and held it up over her head to catch the wind. And in her blue cotton kimono and in her shiny red geta, Suki danced all the way home. Wow, boys and girls, Suki ended up having a terrific day. What do you think you can learn from this story? What was the author trying to teach us? You can say something like, this book has taught me. And that's something you can do at the end of every story to find out what the lesson or the moral is. So if I were to say one thing this book has taught me, it's taught me that you can just be yourself. Even though Suki's sisters told her not to wear her kimono, she still did. And even though there were kids laughing at her at school, she still loved to show off her kimono, and she was proud to be in it. And at the end, all her classmates actually enjoyed it. Well, today, boys and girls, we used a lot of clues the author gave us in the pictures today to guess how the characters felt and what they might be thinking when you read your book, in the story. So when you read your books, boys and girls, make sure you do that special detective work to find out what your characters are really trying to say and what are they thinking. When you get in your own books, I want you to make predictions, what might happen next. Make an inference, use the clues in the book and in your schema, what you already know, to think about what is really happening in your books. And also, when you're done reading your stories, always think about the theme. What is the lesson or the message the author wants you to learn from the story? In this story, we talked